teach people the M&M theory of work sharing. I had a group I was consulting with once. Was at this conference where I was keynote, I did a breakout session, and they didn't want me to do any more breakout sessions because people tended to go to mine and they didn't go to the other breakout sessions. So when they brought me back the next year for the event, they said, we want to use you, but we don't want you to be a breakout session after one. And so we ended up inventing this little thing where people could sign up for consulting time, a half hour of time with Uncle Paul, and we had a whiteboard and we were taking notes. And this group came up to me, a group of 6 people, and they said, we are a fairly high-functioning team. We get along well. There's not a lot of conflict. We want to be more supportive of each other, and there's just no time. And I listened to them and I talked, and we had this room they had supplied for us, had little treats, and there were these coffee cups that no one had used. And I had brought in a couple of bags of M&Ms. And I had this idea, and what I did is I took out, there were 5 people, I put 5 coffee cups out, and I put, I think, 5 M&Ms in each of the coffee cups. And I said, if you can imagine these M&Ms are each units of work. Either it's like a project or it's like an hour of your work. And you all have this stuff to do. And what you're afraid to do is you're afraid to offer to your colleague, here, let me take one of your M&Ms because you've already got 5. And it's going to add another one to your plate. But if you are fairly confident that at some point one of your colleagues is going to come and take one of your M&Ms and help you, there's no more M&Ms getting created when you do this. And it requires you to be generous, but not too generous. And it also requires you to be a taker sometime because you need to ask for help. You need to be willing to take somebody, if somebody offers, you need to be willing to say, yes, I will take your help. And we spent our half hour together. We talked about some other things. I sent them off. 2 years later, I hadn't been with a group for a couple years. 2 years later, I came in, and this group from Texas, they were from the Texas section of this organization. They came right up and they said, Paul, I want you to know, every employee orientation that we have, we teach the M&M theory of work sharing. And I was so embarrassed. I go, what the hell is the M&M theory of work sharing? Because I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, don't you remember in the room? And then they told me. I was like, oh, yes, that's good. I'm going to write that down so I remember it. I have these good ideas, and then if I don't write them down, they're gone. Could you be a little bit more purposeful, mindful with your work team? Maybe ask them, are there some ways we could be sharing M&Ms? Is there a way that some of us are feeling like we're taking on too much? Is there somebody that needs to be better at accepting help? Because sometimes that's the problem, right? Some of you think asking for help is a sign of weakness when it's an incredible, incredible sign of strength.